My name is Hon Benjamin Mzondu. I speak for the people of Makudi Guma. We are from Benue State. I also speak for the teeming unemployed youth in this hallowed chamber. I rise this morning under Order 6, Rule 1, Rule 2, and Rule 3. And with the kind permission of the Speaker, may I read from our standing rules. 6.1, privileges are rights enjoyed by the House collectively and by members of the House individually, conferred by the Legislative House. I move to 2 quickly for want of time. Any member may arise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and shall be prepared to move without notice a motion declaring that a contempt or breach of privilege has been committed, or referring the matter to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. But if the matter is raised in the Committee of Whole, the chairman shall leave the chair in order to report progress. I quickly move to 3. A matter of privilege at any time arising shall, until disposed of, or until the debate on a motion thereon is adjourned, suspend the consideration and precision of every other question. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, on the 23rd of July 2020, the House considered a report and adopted the bill on water resources, tag HB 921. Mr. Speaker, I was deprived of my legislative privileges of citing the gazetted copy of the National Water Resource Bill, and as such, could not participate in the consideration of the report of the Committee of Whole, which also deprived me of my rights and privileges of representation to the people who sent me to this chamber. Number 2, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, it is in the effort to eliminate the element of surprise that this House, in its wisdom, included in its standing rules that every bill must be gazetted or clean copies circulated. It is important to note the emphasis word here is gazette or clean copies circulated, which means appearing in the bills journals of the House. The words used are clear, they are unambiguous, they ought to be given their ordinary meaning as stated in our standing rules. It is important to emphasize that I have painstakingly searched the whole of these chambers and our various document-keeping centers, all through the journals, and I cannot find where this bill has been gazetted. I stand to be challenged or to be corrected. The next question for consideration, Right Honorable Speaker, is the interpretation of the rules of this House. And the onus is on you to interpret it, as stated in our standing rules, Order 7, Rule 1, that the Speaker shall interpret the rules of this House. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this same water bill was stated as National Water Resource Bill 2020, but it was not treated as such. A bill that emanated in 2020 should have gone through first reading, second reading, and third reading before passage. It was not treated as such, and this is a denial of my representation to my people. Honorable Speaker, I was also misled by Rule 12, Order 12, Rule 18, It says that a bill that had not been passed, Mr. Speaker, Rule 18 deals with assembly to assembly. From my legislative knowledge, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, that bill has no life. That bill died in the upper chamber, and as such was supposed to commence the journey de novo. Right Honorable Speaker, I therefore rely on Order 8, Rule 8, that bill be rescinded and expunged from our records, or be made to go through the necessary considerations that a bill will have to go through before it passes. Particularly considering the mood of the nation, we are here to serve the Nigerian people and not to serve ourselves. If the Nigerian people so do not desire a bill, we put it at rest or put it to public debate and public scrutiny for them to have their input. Mr. Speaker, my rights have been infringed on, and as I stand, I cannot go to my constituency because I need to show them copies of this bill, and I've gone through all our journals, it is not there. I therefore move, Mr. Speaker, that this bill be rescinded, expunged, until it begins the journey de novo. I so move. Thank you for listening.
I listened very carefully to you. You made a very good point on the issue of gazetting, which is the procedure, and the issue of gazetting is fundamental. However, I am not sure that the issue of gazetting, one second, I'm not sure that the issue of gazetting is applicable to, if I remember correctly, this was a recommittal bill. It was being recommitted from assembly to assembly. I may be wrong. I think you quoted Order 12. Does it talk about gazetting is as far as fresh? It's for fresh bills, I believe. But you can point me to the right order that talked on committal bills. I think that's Order 12. I believe it may be silent on gazetted. It is assumed that it was gazetted. It was gazetted in the last assembly, but I stand to be corrected. 1 second, Abiante, we'll take. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, our rules are so stated.
Honorable Sada, this is a matter of privilege. The point of order can come after. If you read the rules very well, matter of privilege must be is priority, and it must be dispensed with. Yes.
Thank you for your protection, Right Honorable Speaker. Our orders are explicit, clear, unambiguous on committal of bill. Mr. Speaker, I was taking time, but I need to break it down. Order 12, Rule 16, 17, and 18 states it clearly. You find that on page 72 and 73 of our standing rules. 18, the rule of construction demands that provision of the law or rule should be given their plain and ordinary meaning. Rule 17 is different from Rule 18 and Rule 16. Rule 17 deals with continuation of business from section to section and not from assembly to assembly. Rule 18 deals with assembly to assembly. And that rule states that that bill must be gazetted. It is there in our rules. Page 72. The legislative business of the House which though completed and laid in the House by a committee of the House, remain determined at the end of the assembly, shall be resumed and proceeded with in the next assembly in the same manner as if the tenure of the assembly had not come to an end. If the House resolve in the affirmative, such bill, upon being re-gazetted, the emphasis word is re, which means it has to be re-gazetted again, reflecting in our journals. It is stated there, clear, unambiguous. Thank you.
That we have no jurisdiction in the matter. That should have been brought up at the point of the debate on general.
At the earliest possible time.
But we'll get that. We'll get there. Let's deal with one issue at a time. We'll get there. Let's deal with one issue at a time. I think the narrow issue here, before we get to that, if we are going to get to that at all, the narrow issue of Honorable Mzondu is that the bill was not gazetted, according to him, reading the rules, contrary to our House rules, with demands for re-gazetting. So I think the simple question, and maybe because of the importance of this matter, ordinarily matters of privilege are not meant to be debated. But I think we'll suspend rules just to have one or two contributions. And it's important that Honorable Sada, who basically sponsored the bill, should have the
information. Mr. Speaker, since it's a matter of privilege, Order 9 on rules of debate, Order 9.6, it reads, it shall be out of order to attempt to consider any specific question upon which the House has come to a conclusion during the current session, except upon a substantive motion. This issue can come on substantive motion and the House can look at it because it does not affect me, it affects the whole country. We can follow the procedure. He is talking about privilege. So it can come on substantive motion.
Okay, all right. Very good point. Very good point.
Yes.
Very good point. And I think that addresses.
This issue can be subjected to the House, and the House can take a decision on this legislation. I'm not against anybody raising any issue on this bill because it affects everybody. But let's put it on a substantive motion. Let it be on notice, and then we'll discuss it.
Honorable colleagues, we have a matter of privilege on the floor. Matters of privilege are not meant to be debated, but because of the sensitivity of the matter, we open it up for debate. Matters of privilege are not meant to be debated, but because of the sensitivity of the matter, we open it up for debate. Honorable colleagues, I have just read out the prayers that we pray every day. And I want you to recall that I had a bill on the floor of this House, the infectious disease bill, which at the end of the day generated a lot of controversy. We were informed that we passed it with the speed of light, which was neither here nor there, and that the procedure was wrong, and that it was not sent for public hearing. And being sensitive to the people, I stepped my bill down and I sent it to public hearing. Fundamental issues have been raised by Honorable Mzondu about his privilege and that of many others being breached. He has backed it up by clear language and provisions of our rules, which says any such bill must be regazetted. The chairman business and rules sought to rely on Rule 16, which gives a window of either regazette or clean copies. Unfortunately, it appears some people have done their homework. I was presented with a with the motion itself for the day, which did not talk about Rule 16, but talked about Rule 18, which does not give the alternative of clean copies, which strictly says it must be re-gazetted. We don't want to do things here that the courts will annul based on even procedure. So there may still be good in this bill, but I think it's good to err on the side of caution. And I think the bill should be sent back for re-gazetting and brought back to the floor so that we'll consider it and nobody will have any issue at that point. The right thing would have been done. So the ruling will be that, please, very quickly, Chairman, Business and Rule, please send the bill for re-gazetting and bring it back to the floor.